This is a Heart and Hand production.
Hello folks, my name's David Edgar and I'm one of the podcasters on Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. Now you may be aware of what we do due to our free shows which drop every Monday and Thursday, but you may not know that we also have a subscription site on which you can find up to 5 shows every single day. With over 30 contributors making shows about everything to do with Rangers, you're bound to find something that you enjoy. If it's current events, we do a daily news show, we do immediate post-match reactions, match previews, and we look at basically everything to do with the Gers, including tactical breakdowns of how the team is doing. If you like Rangers history, then we've got you covered. We do shows on specific eras, such as the Advocat years or the Eck era. We look at great matches in shows like the Time Capsule, going back to historical clashes. And we also do player profiles, and I'm pretty sure we've covered your favourite player in there. There's also quizzes, comedy shows, and we're branching out into other things on our various tiers as well. If you like pop culture, there are shows on gaming, there are shows on TV that you may love, there are shows on other sports. Trust me, it's a great place to be. On top of that, there's a wonderful community where people can chat away about the Bears in a respectful manner that you might not get elsewhere on the net. You get all of that for just $1.99 per month and more if you subscribe to our higher tiers. But to give you a taste of what you can expect when you sign up over at patreon.com/heartandhand, that's patreon.com/heartandhand. Here is an excerpt from one of our most popular shows. Last year we did a poll of the 50 greatest Rangers goals and everyone was invited to send in their top 10. The votes were collated and these were the results. If you enjoy this show, then please pop over to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast on Patreon. That's patreon.com/heartandhand.
Hello there, I'm Martin Ramsey and welcome to the Greatest Rangers Goals, the countdown of the 50 best goals in Rangers history as voted by you, the patrons. With me to run the rule over your selections are 3 people who have done the biggest shift on the Time Capsule over the last year. Firstly, Mr. Heart and Hand himself, David Edgar.
Hello, how you doing, lads?
Mr. Ruthless Ian Hogg.
Good evening, gentlemen.
And Mr. Saltcoats 9697, Andy McGowan.
Hi guys.
Welcome one and all. Lads, most emails that I received, and there were lots, went along the lines of, this has been a weirdly enjoyable torture. I feel so guilty at leaving so many goals out, but it's been fun getting lost in YouTube. I presume some goals were easy, kind of triple locks, and others you had to think about a wee bit more. David?
Yeah, very much so. I totally empathise with all the people who agonised over this one, because you're caught between so many different ideas. Do you go for the best goals in terms of the sheer raw athleticism or the passing or whatever? Do you go for the most spectacular? Do you go for the ones that mean the most to you? Do you go for the ones that mean the most to the club? And in the end, I think I decided to just go for ones that caused the biggest roar, caused the biggest surge of adrenaline, that feeling that only a goal can bring you. So the ones that kind of needed a new measuring stick to accurately measure, they were the ones I went for. But I can understand why guys were going, well, hang on a minute, only 10?
Yeah, I get it. Andy, you were very much the same,
I was. I thought this would have been fairly easy, and then when you start, it was harder and harder, and I think I got it down to 20, and I thought, God, how am I going to get it? It's 20 to 10, but in the end up, I just went for one criteria, and it was goals remembered by pure visceral memory. So what things that I remembered, and I can remember the feeling, that's the ones I picked.
Hoggy, you picked some rare gems in there as well.
There was one or two, wasn't there? It would also appear, Martin, that I think much like yourself, neither of us think we've actually scored a goal in the 21st century.
No.
It was hard. It was quite a tough shift, actually, and having spent a few hours on it, eventually I had it kind of whittled down to about 14 goals, and I was just going to email you 14 and you'd have chucked them out. So the 4 that got chopped were absolute gems, but I think I kept some some real rarities in there for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I excluded all goals by Kenny Miller for obvious reasons.
Well, indeed. I've obviously seen everything come through, and there's been quite often the case, I forgot about that, that's an absolute beezer. But I haven't varied my 10 at all. We have a mixture of the aesthetic, the long ranger, the team goal, the solo run, and we have goals that simply mattered so much to Rangers or to individuals, and each are valid in their own way. Before we get cracking, I should give a shout out to some votes for Scott McDonald of Motherwell, who sadly was disqualified on one obvious technicality. There was a vote for Bilal Mojni against Stenhousemuir. My word, some of our younger supporters have been seriously neglected for too long.
Was it from Bilal Mojni?
Probably, I think it's his mom. And one vote for Davy Meikle-John's penalty in the 1928 Cup final. A great wee nod to history there. Some that just missed out in the top 50. Laudrup's first in the 96 Cup final. Claudio Reyna's goal against Parma. Mick Swiggin's header against Marseille. Colin Steen's header against Hibs that ended that drought. And in 51st place, Sandy Jardin's classic against Bayern Munich in the 1972 Cup Winners' Cup semi-final. But here's the top 50 then. We'll start with a classic counter-attack goal from a Walter Smith Rangers side in Europe.
Ferguson, and here is Broadfoot. Nobody forward there, missed beautifully. Now, Davis, and he curls. That must be a great goal. Rangers have scored. Jean-Claude Darcheville puts it away.
Jean-Claude Darcheville putting us ahead in Lisbon. David, this is the ultimate Walter Smith goal, no?
Oh, this is the ultimate Walter Smith performance over two legs, isn't it? Only trumped by playing an even better side and then getting them through to penalties. But a lovely goal, as you say, a great move. And it brings home to you a couple of things. Firstly, the pace of Jean-Claude Darcheville. When he got moving, he was lightning. He maybe wasn't the quickest over just the initial burst, but once he got ahead of steam up, he could move. And Stephen Davis is so intelligent, and this was him at his absolute best. And this was one of those nights where my adrenaline was through the roof. You know, I was up on the ceiling at the best of times watching Rangers that European run. And then with this move, it was just, this was the kind of goal that happened to us as I was growing up. Yeah. It didn't really happen for us. And to see us execute it, because it doesn't just take skill and discipline and athleticism and fitness, it also takes intelligence and daring, and all of these combine to make for a memorable goal, which knocked the stuffing right out of Sporting Lisbon. And I know that there's a very famous goal, which I don't know the top 50 folks, he wouldn't tell any of us. So it's coming as much a surprise to us as it is to you. But there's another goal which I assume will be in there somewhere. But this was the goal that did the damage.
Ian, you were in Lisbon, no?
I was, yeah. This was a brilliant night. I'd had almost nothing to drink through the day whenever I go and see Rangers in Europe. The night before, I will get bevied beyond belief. The day of the game, I will not, and it goes all the way back to my very first European experience where I can't remember Rangers against Auxerre in the 90s. However, this goal was just magnificent. The Rangers end went bonkers, absolutely mind-blowingly bonkers. I was going to put the second goal in my 10, but it got chopped. In fact, it didn't even make the paper because of who scored it. This goal... should this goal be in the 50 in my opinion? Well, it was, in terms of importance, by God, we're in the semi-finals.
Andy, I guess the two goals in this game were spectacular, but I wonder if this is the best goal on that run.
I would say it epitomises our performance in Lisbon that night. David, you said it was the kind of thing that used to happen to us, no happen for us. I thought we were brilliant that night. We played magnificent football, kept the ball, passed the ball well, all over the park. The run, as you say, was so important. There's so many magic moments in it. But as you say, that one was critical because it burst them wide open that night, and after that, you knew we were going to win.
Yeah. Okay then, at 49, a goal that sparked a memorable rearguard performance and saved us all from a frankly horrific afternoon.
Luko, definitely a threat. Still going.
Sonny Aluko there at the end of the ill-fated 2011-2012 season. Hoggy, his time here was basically a kind of brief cameo spell. Could Aluko have stood out in better Rangers sides?
Well, he certainly stood out in this side, and of course we were on the down curve. Of course, he came at the right time. He came through at the right time. We needed something that season, and he gave us a bit of a bright spark. And of course, that game could have gone wrong for us. But it was a performance from him and the team especially that just, it was almost an old Rangers performance under a Walter Smith side where they would just stand up and say, "Nah, not today, guys, sorry." And Aluko was playing against a good Celtic side and a good Celtic defence, and he ran right through them. He could have, bear in mind at the time he was a young man, he actually should have gone on to have a far better career than the one that he's had in England. He's had a decent career, but it should have been so much better because he does have genuine skill and pace. And
obviously worse was to come after that afternoon, but how important was it for us just to win that day so that they didn't win the title at Ibrox?
Aye, well, it would have been a tremendous feather in their cap to have done that. So, given the circumstances that day, just went into administration, it would have been easy for us to fold. But I think that game was all about showing the world what we were about. Aluko himself was a fantastic player. I really liked him. I was really disappointed at all the players that left over the administration period. I was sorry to see him go, but that was a well-needed shot in the arm at the right time. If only we knew what was to come. But looking back at it, I still have tremendous fondness for that game. I think it was it burst their bubble anyway for a wee while.
Yeah, indeed. That's Sonny Aluko at number 49. At 48 is a free kick from a League Cup semi-final in the 1980s. It could only be one scorer, I guess.
And from this position, Davy Cooper can be a very, very dangerous striker of the ball indeed. It's there. 33 minutes. The magic left foot of Davy Cooper brings the game to life. Hibs pay a severe penalty for the free kick. 20 yards out, top corner, bang, 1-0.
Hoggy, you chose this. Some wonderfully understated commentary from Arthur Monford there, as Cooper absolutely rattled in a free kick from miles out. It's there, I think is what he said. That's the League Cup semi of 1985 against Hibs. Is this unfairly forgotten because we ultimately lost a two-leg tie?
I would imagine if you asked anyone, 90% of people will not even choose this in their top 50, let alone their top 10.
Obviously not, Hoggy, or it wouldn't have made the top 50.
90% of people, young David.
There's no way those maths work out. You've got a degree in mathematics. There's no way that you think that. It doesn't work.
Right. Fuck off. So, the vast majority of people will know. How's about that?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Right, we'll go from maths to stats. I chose it because I've got fond memories of this night. Rangers had lost 2-0 in Easter Road. The League Cup semi-final back in 85-86 was a two-legged affair. McCoist missed a penalty early in the second half. Gordon Chisholm scored, and then a very young, with hair, Gordon Jury scored, and we go down 2-0. Rangers are poor. They're going through a poor spell. We started the season pretty well, but they're on a bit of a losing run. We've just gone out to Osasuna. Cooper gets a free kick after half an hour. I'm unwell, but I've convinced my mum and dad that I'm okay to go to the game. Aged almost 10. Not long after the goal, which is incidentally, in my humble opinion, as a strike, it's better than Davy Cooper's against Aberdeen in 1987. But of course, context is everything. We don't go through this night. Not long after the goal, I am in the main stand and sick all over the old gentleman in front of me. I end up, because the guys' toilets at the time were basically urinals and that was about it. I'm escorted into the female toilets for the first and only time in my life in the main stand, honest gov, and was quite taken aback at how plush they were. But it's a fabulous free kick from right to left, right into the top corner. Alan Ruff doesn't even move. It's a wonderful piece of skill, Martin.
And yeah, you're right. I don't think it will be the last David Cooper strike that will feature on this list. 47 is another goal that didn't lead to immediate success, but it stopped a rot and it built belief.
Rangers looking for an unlikely breakthrough early in the second half. Charlie Adam, Philip Shebo, David Weir. There's a shot by Okiog. And a slip on the ground. And Hugo Okiog has turned it in. That is so against the run of play today. But that's football. It's Celtic 0, Rangers 1. It's unlikely. It's incredible.
Hugo Ekiog's goal in 2007 at Parkhead. David, I'll let you talk about the goal, but before that, what about that deflated, understated commentary from Crocker? He said he's turned it in as if there was a near post glancing header and not a fucking overhead kick by a centre half.
Crocker is the worst type of media prick in that when he came up, Rangers were the biggest, richest club when he first got to Scotland, and he was so far up our arse that he could have seen Chick Young inside David Murray. And then as Celtic grew during the period as we had our troubles, he has completely gone 180. As you say, you think that it would have been a knockdown at a corner and he's been there at the back post. It's a fucking overhead kick from a centre half from distance that hits the top of the bar as well, always looks great, and goes into the net. Stunning goal, and even though he was only here for a short time, it wrote Ugo into Rangers folklore. What it did as well was Walter was back, and Walter is your Krypton, Celtic fans, and they knew it. And here he was just setting about proving it already, especially Walter at Parkhead. Tremendous record at Parkhead. And it was just all about re-establishing, look, the joke that we were under Le Guin and McLeish's last season, that's gone now, forget about that. Even if we're maybe not consistent, we are going to be better than you on match days because I know how to do this better than any human being alive. And I had a great day. I was so drunk. I mean, I was bluttered going into the ground. I got really, really bluttered coming out of the ground. And then when I got home, my wife was supposed to be going to an arcade fire gig at the Barons. She couldn't make it. So I got the ticket and I went along and got even drunker. And I must admit, this is the story when you go, my day work the next day was bad. I didn't make it.
Andy, we've already touched on a goal that maybe didn't mean all that much, but there were kind of larger ramifications. This is very much like that. David's right. It was a sign that, yep, you've had it your own way for the past couple of years, but next season could be very different.
It was a statement of intent. I mean, even the fabric of the goal itself, it just epitomises desire. Big Ehiog goes up in the first place, kind of bashes one out, the ball's still up in the air, big David Weir, another veteran, wins the ball again. And then the last guy you're expecting to have a quasi scissor kick, Hugo Ekiog, with the big long legs. But what a beautiful goal it was. And as you say, he went down in folklore because it was a turning at a corner, even so late in the season. It gave you optimism for the next season because we'd got one over of them and there was belief that we carried on.
Especially at Parkhead, Hoggy.
Yeah, I mean, how toothless had we been under Paul Le Guin? How toothless had we been in Alec McLeish's final season? It was statement of intent. It was in the post. It was all the cliches. But going back to what David and Andy said, this was Walter. This was Walter setting a team up to beat Celtic in their own place. And who would have thought that the aging defence of Hugo Ekiog and Davy Weir would come, keep a clean sheet, and one of them would score an overhead kick?
No, indeed. And that's why it resonates, I guess, so much that you've got it on your list. Number 46 is an equaliser that felt very much like a winner.
Playing it wide for Durant. Rogan comes to meet him. Oh, it's good running by Durant. It's away from Rogan. The other ball inside. McCarthy did well with the header, but it's Durant again. The last chance perhaps for Rangers. The chance is on for goal. Richard Goff makes it 2 apiece. In the final minute of the match. What incredible drama here at Ibrox.
Andy, you can hear the mics break there. Richard Goss equalised on the 2-2 draw against Celtic in October 1987. It was just the perfect conclusion to the particular match in question.
Yeah, the distortion you hear in the sound is real, because just that game had been such a monumental fucking battle that to get beaten, it would have been a sore one, but to win it in the last minute, to get the draw in the last minute in that manner, as you say, it felt like a winner, and we were the ones going away celebrating, and Celtic were kind of deflated because of it. And again, it's all about desire, it's all about never giving up and keeping going to the last minute, and that's exactly what Goff did there.
Ian, he wasn't in the door long by then.
No, he wasn't. It was only a matter of weeks, I think, by then. And Goff was playing right back to begin with. I think he went to centre half. I think he ends up in central midfield. And because he sets up the first goal for McCoist. Yeah. He comes striding through the middle of the park and plays McCoist in to score off the post. This goal, however, yes, Goff is there. Yes, he's in the penalty box. Yes, his telescopic leg pokes it in. This goal's all about Ian Durant.
Yeah.
It's in the 90th minute. Yeah, Ian Durant, with Rangers with 9 men, he's still haring down the right-hand side to get the first cross in. It's nodded back out, I think, by Billy Stark, and then crossed in again. All about Durant, and then all about desire in the penalty area when yet another Celtic keeper basically decides not to keep goal.
Who was that keeper? McKnight?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Davey, childish or not, what makes it even more special is the reaction behind the goal.
Oh, it's nuts. I mean, nothing childish about it. It's so good to see the other 3 areas of the park going, just completely berserk, and then the camera cut to them, and they're just, I can't believe we've screwed this up. Oh, it's fantastic. How can you play against 83 minutes against a centre back and goal and not win the match? It can't happen. In fact, it could only happen to them. But big Goff, not long over the parish, getting in there for the goal. And Clang, as I dropped the name, when we spoke to him about that for the Heart and Hand interview, it's in the archives, folks, he said, I don't think I got enough credit for the finish, because he had to twist to get it away, and it was splendid. As you said, there are some goals that feel like winners when they're not. I'm pretty sure that this might have actually entered people's memories over the years as a winner. And even though it wasn't, it kind of was. And in a pretty dreary season where there weren't a lot of highlights, this was one that stood out.
No, it absolutely did. Another Old Firm goal at 45, this time at Parkhead. Rangers had started the game brightly but had gone 2-1 down in the second half. They immediately went up the park, and this happened.
Neil McCann's cross, and Ronald de Boer! It's 2-2! 2 in a minute at Celtic Park, and what sort of psychological effect will that have on Rangers?
Hoggy, for such a great ball player, Ronald de Boer got his fair share of important headers.
Important headers, important goals. This game epitomises that. Before I answer that question, can I just point out, how happy does Rob McLean sound that we've scored?
Happier than he sounded as we recorded yesterday.
Yes, indeed, but still not that happy. First and foremost, we've just gone down 2-1. What a cross from Neil McCann on the run! Great ball to Neil McCann, incidentally, by Amoruso down the line. Inch perfect cross in, and he is straining every muscle in his back and neck to get there. Makes contact. Another keeper might have come for it, you might argue. It's a superb goal. However, there's not many better goals than diving headers, is there?
No.
And especially in the context, and away Wales. Now, very recently, we've just recorded another show, name drop, the Ek Era episode 9, and this game is covered. And David, we covered not only the goal, but his reaction to the goal, because he's not that long at Rangers. He's in the door, a year and a half or so, whatever it is. And he is, or a couple of years, he's straight over to the crowd, and he's going as nuts as the rest of the players and the fans.
Oh, he was loving it, and who can blame him for that, because it was just remarkable. It was a stunning goal, and it was such an important goal because, as you say, they're still celebrating, they're still going nuts, and that's why there's a famous image of their guys dancing about as the ball hits the back of the net, which was tremendous. But what I love about this goal, and I mentioned this on the Ek Era, was Ronald de Boer had done everything. Martin, he'd been right round the world. Yeah. He'd played at the highest level that he could play at. A dominant figure in major tournaments and in the Champions League and in La Liga. Wonderful player, Champions League winner. Look at his face when he scores that. He is completely caught up in the Old Firm madness as much as anyone. This ice cool guy who played ice cool. He was a very measured footballer in terms of the way he played the game. And yet, that goal right there to him unleashes this primal roar from him, and just every muscle in his face is taut as he's screaming in celebration. That's what those kind of goals mean to you. Hell of a game as well, and we could maybe be a bit annoyed that we'd come from behind, yes, but we'd been in the league twice, so maybe a bit disappointed. But the one memory I think everyone has of that match is that goal, because it was stunning.
It was, and yet again, Andy, it's funny that the voting throws the games up, or the goals up, in such a way. But here's another statement performance, another statement goal. At the start of 2002-03, probably a lot of talk, even though we won the cup final. We'd put them out the League Cup of the semi-final the year before. But let's see how you get on in league business. But here was a statement that we were going to go toe to toe all the way to the very end that season.
The phrase I was going to use before you used it was toe to toe, because that was a very, very good Celtic side. Very strong, very physical, good football players, a couple of class players in it as well. And what that showed is that at home you can hit us with your best and we'll match it. And I can't add anything to the goal. The guys have epitomised it as perfectly as you can. My favourite bit's the high fives. He wheels away, high fives the Bears. It's a fantastic goal in every aspect.
Okay, that's Ronald de Boer at number 45. At 43 is the winning goal from our finest hour.
As long as that score remains. Steen, and here's Willie Johnston with a chance. And it's a goal. It's a goal by Johnston. Right out of the blue. Rangers 3 up. Incredibly 3 up. The start of the second half. Here he comes now. Watch how the Russian defence was absolutely cut out. Down towards Johnston, and he comes in at the back. They look towards the linesman. They picked his spot. Looked as if he might have hit it too late, but no, the goalkeeper slow going down. And there we are, Rangers 3-0 up.
That's, of course, Willie Johnston's second goal, putting Rangers 3-0 up in the European Cup Winners' Cup final 1972 against Moscow Dynamo. Andy, you ran a bus to Barcelona that night, no?
Well, my granddad was there, so I was there somewhere.
We've got a lot of great strikes in this poll, and certainly in the entire 50, but this is quite direct.
Aye, this is where it came down with snow in it. But what, in terms of technically, what a touch and what a finish for Johnston. I read his book. If anybody's not read his book, have a read of it. It's absolutely fantastic. But it's a classic up and under control, run the goalie in the net. Fantastic. Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a goalkeeper hit a ball that far. This is the Camp Nou. This isn't Alloa or something. I mean, this is the biggest pitch in Europe.
Certainly not as high as it went either. It was almost in danger of being out in the street. I had, as I've told you boys before, I was at Narsa in 2017 in Las Vegas, and I had the absolute pleasure of sitting watching the Champions League final with Willie, and he was so humble, and so knowledgeable, talking through the game, basically telling me everywhere where Juventus were going wrong and what he would do. And we talked very briefly about the final. And all he said about this goal was the ball was at its highest point, and he already knew what he was going to do. He always, and my father's told me this, that in the early days with Willie Johnson, you could see he was almost like a snooker player on the park. He was about four steps ahead until the red mist came down, of course. But this was just wonderful to, and Andy's nailed it. It comes out the sky. Christ, it's up there for about 6 or 7 seconds. And his first touch is sublime and he's away. So just totally iconic goal.
Yeah, you're absolutely right with the first touch. Not sure what the defence is doing, David, but I don't guess Bears of that generation really cared.
No, that's the Iron Curtain defence, Martin. Literally,
velvet curtains going on there.
It was pretty poor, but as Hoggy said, what a wonderful man he is, and so humble, because this is the biggest goal in Rangers history. Now, this is a bit best, and that's different to everybody, but this is a European trophy winning goal, and the European trophy is the thing that just lifts you up into that run of really special clubs. So a wonderful, wonderful finish, actually, because it takes a wee while to come down to him. And one of the things I love, the actual football, was the black and white quadrants. It's a stunning piece of kit that looks amazing, and a fabulous win. And I know that just to back up what Andy's granddad said, this was also my Papa's favourite Rangers goal of all time, because of what it meant. And Rangers had come close and not quite been able to do it. And to get there meant the world to people of that generation, and it was something that they never ever forgot.
No,
I'm really loving that it's European Cup Winners' Cup final. Rangers win 3-2. We've just covered the winning goal, and Martin focuses on the negatives.
No, not at all. But it's guys of my vintage. Then, just looking back at that in a European final, it's of its time, but it's quite rightly probably should be higher on the list because of what it meant. It made the difference on the night, and it was a special night. Not just to win that European trophy, not just because of the near misses, but everything that happened in the years leading up to that. A special night for everyone involved. At 43, we're staying in the 70s, and it's a League Cup final of 1970, and a winner against Celtic by a 16-year-old Derek Johnston, a brilliant header. Davey, what were you doing at 16?
Drugs. No, I certainly wasn't. I wasn't capable of doing this. He doesn't look 16 in terms of.
No one did. No one did.
No one did. He looks like Derek Johnston. I'm fully formed. But can you imagine a 16-year-old? Can you imagine it today? As good as he was, but he was a rare specimen. I mean, he was able to compete with men because he was a physical player. So he wasn't going to go out there and be able to do them with his skill. That wasn't why he was getting picked. He was getting picked for that raw physicality. There's a wonderful line that came from a singer that I like, and he said, when you're 16, you think you can take on the world, and half the time you're right. And this was Derek Johnston that day. And if you look at the header itself, it's brilliant. He's got to get up slightly back, and not only does he nod it down into the corner, textbook, but he also gets power into it. There's not the power on the cross. He generates the power for himself. It's a fabulous header. But a 16-year-old scoring the winning goal in an Old Firm Cup final, my goodness. It's Roy of the Rovers. It's the stuff of legend. And it's an incredible goal.
And not a bad Celtic team, Hoggy. They what would be in the European Cup final had just been in the European Cup final that's previous season.
Yeah,
they were in it. No, I thought they were in it. No, you're right, sorry. But Pioneer, they got beat.
Yeah.
Or actually, as they list it on their official site, they were vice winners.
Vice champions, yes. Vice champions. Does that, see if they go out the semi-final, does that make them... never mind.
We need quantum mechanics to work that out.
All I know is that the Vice and Celtic do seem to go together.
Well, indeed. But these were two decent...
And moving swiftly on, yes.
These were two decent centre-halves.
Oh, absolutely.
Jim Craig and Billy Miller.
I mean, I must admit, I saw that. So to give the listeners a bit of context, we have seen the 20 goals that we're going to go through, but we don't know what order they're in. So of course, myself, Andy, and David today have been poring over the goals and watching them, and probably ourselves trying to put where they would go. My first thought was, this isn't one of the greatest goals, but of course my lens of greatness is different to everyone else. It is absolutely iconic in the history and fabric of Rangers. A 16-year-old player who would go on to be, I think, one of our greatest players. A 16-year-old guy beating European Cup winning defenders and international defenders. That is total Roy the Rovers.
I think you have to contextualise it with that. This is a Celtic team that's in the middle of 9 in a row. This is a Celtic team that got to 2 European Cup finals in 3 years. They are an exceptional side, painful as it is to admit it. And here is a 16-year-old. Not only does he come on and score the winner, can you imagine the hope that must have generated amongst success-starved Rangers fans? Everything about it. He comes on with the weight of expectation. He rises to the challenge of those expectations, and he says to them, well, look, I'm going to be about here for the next 15 years, so you can start to dream again. All of that plays a part in why this goal means so much to so many Rangers supporters.
No, absolutely right. At 42, possibly the only goal on the list where Hampden...
So Chris Boyd withdrawn. Nacho Novo, the Spaniard, he's been in Scotland for a few years, perhaps more accustomed to those stifling temperatures. We shall see. Certainly Rangers need some sort of injection in this second half of urgency if they are to start making more of an impact in this cup final. On the plus side though, Falkirk, despite their superiority in the first half, in terms of play and possession, you have to say, weren't able to trouble the goalkeeper. And like Novo! Well, that is what you call an impact! Under 30 seconds of the second half played, and Nacho Novo does that! An absolute stunner!
Well, that's the only one worth to describe it, Bill. Absolutely stunning. He just loses Scott Arfield here. Scott Arfield ended up wrong side, and Novo's got the time to allow it to drop to a nice height. And Marlowe is absolutely helpless. I wouldn't blame the goalkeeper. I don't think he's out of position. He's slightly towards his front post, as you'd expect. And that is just about unsavable. A wonderful effort from the substitute.
That's Nacho Novo's winning goal in the 2009 Scottish Cup final against Falkirk. David, if I'm not mistaken, this goal is extra special because Scott van den Akker was stuck in the toilet during it.
Yeah. I don't know if he's seen it to this day, because this was one of those nights where I made Scott go out drinking with me, and Scott wasn't as good at drinking as I was, although the fact that he can still do it probably suggests the opposite. But so he got absolutely bluttered, ladled drunk, and then was on chore duty for the missus the next day. So, yes, Scott was in the toilet, then had come up with instructions to go into the pie queue. The pie queue at Hampden, notoriously slow, but there's something in our DNA as Rangers fans that we seem to forget this every single time and treat it like a normal pie queue. And then he comes back down the stairs a couple of minutes later with a face like absolute thunder. The phrase was used by me of, that'll be the floodgates open now. It was literally the only thing that happened in the 90 minutes.
Because it was so warm, presumably.
No, because Rangers were shite that day and Falkirk weren't very good, full stop. But you take the victory. It was a glorious day in terms of weather. I mean, it was just really sunny. Everybody was bevied out their nut because I think everybody had been in a beer garden for 3 consecutive days before it. There was quite a happy atmosphere, and Rangers weren't good, but something I love about Rangers fans, just win the bloody thing. Yeah. You know, that's what we're here for. Yes, it would be lovely to play champagne football. Yes, it would be lovely, but you know, we're not Spurs. You know, we don't get points awarded for how beautiful everything looks. Win the bloody trophy. And we Nacho, there is an argument that pound for pound, has anyone scored, apart from a youth player, has anyone scored as many important goals for Rangers? He scored a goal that took us into the Champions League. So there's a lot of money generated. Here's a winning goal in a cup final. Great record against Celtic. We all know Nacho Novo's limitations as a player, but he has got a hell of a big achievements list at Rangers due to his goals, and this is one of the best. It's a great finish. I'm not doing it justice, because he turns and smashes it, and he gets curl and dip on it away and pace away from the goalkeeper. It's a truly, truly remarkable finish. So yeah, everything about this goal is good. And hey, how many people can say they scored the winning goal for Rangers in the Scottish Cup final?
Yeah, Andy, we don't have to apply context to this, even though it was a cup winning goal. It was just a fantastic strike.
Aye, it was just unbridled power. He just turned, and if you watch the video, he extends his leg back as far as it'll go and just leathers it. And then leathering it, as David says, he gets all that spin and dip and everything. That just goes just so beautifully over the goalkeeper. Even the goalkeeper's dive despairingly is makes it even more beautiful. The thing I remember about it was he was going to take the shy, and then he changed his mind. He drops the ball, and I think it's Papatch. So thank fuck he never took the shy. I would never have got that goal.
Extra kudos for the word shy. I don't hear that enough these days.
That was a Heart and Hand production.